because we were building this audience. Like we were starting to build a community and actually build a place that people enjoyed hanging out online.
So did you always look at social media like it was a business? Like what was the turning point for you and how did that start?
People get on social media and they don't really have a strategy, and they're not really sure what to do on social media. If they're building a business, they probably know how powerful social media can be, and they really take it from a standpoint of brand awareness.
You have a lot of systems, you have a ton of knowledge. What I love about you is you're in the insurance space, but you come with it in a different angle.
When you're sending out friend requests to people that are part of that ideal demographic, that target audience that you're looking to connect with on social, then that content is going to be shown to them, So it's probably even more valuable than even running a commercial on TV, because you get to choose exactly who gets to see that content.
So many people use social media and I feel like they're like, I don't know if wasting their life is too harsh.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it's too harsh at all.
And you're over here with social media making millions.
Yeah.
Welcome to my show of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, where we hear from regular people who got tired of living their ordinary lives and were not afraid to make that jump.
You gotta be different. You can't be doing what everyone else is doing. You gotta create action. You gotta create momentum. So I'm looking for demand and I'm looking for mentorship, because I wanted to know everything my mentor knew.
People who are just like you and me. How you doing? David Price here with Elle Denning. Another episode of Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. Elle is one of the other co-founders of Marketing for Insurance Agents. It's an amazing insurance Facebook group. It's probably my favorite Facebook group. I think it's over 28,000 members now.
28,000, yeah.
28,000 members. And she's going to talk about the 12-minute a day lead generation strategy. I'm super excited. So welcome, Elle.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. Super excited to be here, and excited to talk about the 12-minute a day lead generation strategy.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming all the way to Orlando from Cape Coral, Florida.
That's right.
Basically,
yeah, across the state.
Was it 2.5 hours?
Yeah, we actually flew in from San Diego, so it was a little bit longer than 2.5 hours. But
how long was San Diego?
It was a 4.5-hour flight. Thankfully, we found a direct one. So, okay. But yeah, we're in Cape Coral, Florida, so it'll be 2.5 hours home. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So welcome. So yeah, I'm pumped. I mean, social media is such a big thing.
Yeah.
You're dominating in the social media space. I mean, you guys built a complete business around it.
We have.
I know you guys had like a 7-figure revenue, right?
Yep.
That's the rumor.
Out of
social media.
Yeah, $2 million from social media alone from our Facebook group and Facebook Live. So excited to dive into the key strategy that we've used in our business to really help us generate leads and generate referrals on a daily basis.
I love it. So many people use social media and I feel like they're like, I don't know if wasting their life is too harsh.
Yeah, right? I don't think it's too harsh at all.
And you're over here with social media making millions.
Yeah. It's approaching it with a business owner's mindset, right? And I think so many times we go on social media and we use it as a distraction platform, really, to like, oh, let me just jump on social media. Let me waste 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, hours, and because we're consuming content. But what does that mean for us as business owners, right? Like we have an opportunity to get in front of people because people are spending so much time on social media these days.
Absolutely. So did you always look at social media like it was a business? Like what was the turning point for you and how did that start?
Yeah, so that's such a great question. Definitely not. Like social media, I'm not a person that actually really likes or enjoys social media. And I think almost in a way that helps me kind of dissociate a little bit. And when I'm on social media, I'm treating it like I'm on there for business. But it definitely wasn't always that way. I kind of felt like it was a necessary evil until we started a Facebook group about 4 years ago, the Marketing for Insurance Agents Facebook group. And we saw a huge opportunity there because we were building this audience. Like we were starting to build a community and actually build a place that people enjoyed hanging out online in our Facebook group. And I think that's really when it started to click for me on how we could use social media to get in front of an audience, to build an audience, really build that trust and rapport with people without ever meeting them face to face.
I guess this is a perfect example, right? And me,
Yeah.
you, and David, I mean, we started talking on social media, what,
That's
2
right.
years?
That's
2 years
right.
before we actually met in person?
Yep. And we live in the same city,
Right,
which
right
is
in the
kind of
same
crazy.
city. I guess Dave was doing a really good job nurturing that relationship.
That's right. He did for sure. But that's right. We connected through Facebook before we ever met in real life. So that's a perfect example.
That's awesome. So I'm really pumped to hear about this system because getting to know you for these last few months. I mean, you have a lot of systems, you have a ton of knowledge. What I love about you is you're in the insurance space, but you come with it in a different angle, right? Most people in the insurance space, they're there because they're agents, and you built a business out of the insurance space, with a lot of knowledge that you had coming into it. And it blows me away because it's just a different eye. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool working with you. Welcome to the Price Group.
Thank
right?
you. Yes. We're so excited. We're so excited to be a part of TPG, like already just learning a ton and loving the energy. Like you talk about building incredible culture. The TPG culture is just so fun to be a part of. I love seeing everybody winning all of the time. And that's definitely a huge testament to you as a leader and the culture that you've built inside of TPG. So David and I are just beyond thrilled to be a part of it.
I love it. Thank you. It's funny because I remember just having one agent and just having two agents. And I remember sending
That's how you grow, right? That's
yes,
how you get started.
I remember sending production reports of 10 agents and being pumped. I had 10 agents produce this week, and now we have over 100 agents produce a week. We had over 200 last month, so it's definitely awesome. But cool. Let's learn about this social media system.
Yeah. So I think kind of to tee it up here, one of the things that and we already hit on it, that people get on social media and they don't really have a strategy, and they're not really sure what to do on social media. If they're building a business, they probably know how powerful social media can be. And they really take it from a standpoint of brand awareness, if you will, kind of like I'm putting myself out there, I'm talking about my business, and but there's a disconnect between the content of brand awareness and talking about my business and true lead generation. And that's something that I think that really is a superpower of ours, is to actually generate leads, that if you wanted to track how many leads you are generating through social media, it's something that you could put in a spreadsheet and track it and actually quantify the activity, quantify the amount of time that you're putting into your social media efforts, and say, this is actually how much revenue this is producing inside of my business. So the 12-minute a day lead generation strategy is actually super simple. And it really comes down to using Facebook Live on a daily basis. And I've got some fun stats about live streaming and Facebook Live. So 85% of consumers actually would like to consume more live video content from brands, but only 17% of businesses are actually doing it. So when I look at that, and you got to imagine in the insurance space, it's probably 1%, 2% are probably using live video as part of their social media marketing strategy. But it's something that David and I have been doing pretty much since Facebook rolled out the feature back in 2015. We just thought it was super fun and interesting, this idea of creating a live stream and then being able to interact with an audience specifically on live video. And we've really mastered it and built a process and a science really to it, and to using it to generate leads and conversations.
So just to clarify, David Denning is her husband. This is David Price, right? So we are separate people. So when she's talking about David, she's probably talking about David Denning. We put some stats about it. 99% chance she's talking about David Denning. 1% chance David Price. But you're talking about Facebook Lives and how important that is. And I know for me, as you're saying it, I'm thinking, man, I don't do enough Facebook Lives. And I remember a couple of times committing to do more Facebook Lives and not. And what I love the most about what you're talking about, so you start adding Facebook and spreadsheets together, right?
Yeah, you know me. I love my numbers. I love my metrics. I love to quantify.
But again, it makes it so serious, right? Myself, like I don't have a amount of minutes I spend on social media every day. I know it's important. I know I want to put content on there. I know I do it, but do I do it every single day? Probably not. Do I have a time period every single day? Probably not. If I did and had these guidelines, I'd probably be a lot more effective. So I love that little strategy of having some numbers, not just like, I'm going to do a Facebook Live this week, or I'm going to do a Facebook Live. But as far as a Facebook Live strategy, what would be a good strategy for somebody to get started with?
Totally. Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that question. So we really recommend doing a Facebook Live every single day, but keeping them shorter. So one thing is keeping yourself accountable, or maybe even doing it with a buddy of setting a goal for at least 30 days to build the habit of showing up on social media every single day. The reason that I personally love Facebook Live working with newer agents is just sort of like building in the reps, just like putting in the activity of doing dials. Showing up every single day on social media is actually part of your activity, and it's part of revenue generating activity because it's an opportunity for you to get in front of people. And it doesn't even have to be 12 minutes a day. We say 12 minutes a day so you can kind of maybe think up of a topic. But really your Facebook Live could be 6 minutes. It could be 3 minutes. What's really important is that you're building that consistency every single day, showing up in front of your audience. And what David and I did as we did that when we were first getting started in our marketing business is that we wouldn't necessarily get a ton of engagement. And I think that's sometimes where agents can feel discouraged when they're just getting started, because maybe they likely don't have an audience of 28,000, people to go live in front of. And they maybe just have their mom on their live at first. That's like in the comments, cheering them on. But what happens is when you're consistent with it, the DMs will start. So you'll get people that'll start inboxing you, or if you're in conversation at a live networking event, for example, like a BNI or a chamber event or something like that, then people will be like, oh, I think I've maybe seen you on Facebook before, or I've seen you somewhere before. And what it does is it starts planting those seeds in their mind about who you are and what you do. And then as the strategy really grows, and really every agent should be doing this for their business content that they're doing, is a call to action. So at the end of the Facebook Live, if you're interested in learning more about working with me, or more about whatever the product or service or whatever it is that they're talking about, it's a very simple write me in the comments, or write learn more in the comments. And what that does is for every me that's in the comments, every learn more that's in the comments, that's a lead. That is an opportunity to have a conversation. And I really think that shifting the mindset around social media of just this overall brand awareness, and really thinking about ways to generate leads and conversations and pull people out of your audience with something that's a very clear call to action. It can just be something as simple as write me in the comments.
That's great. And I think I learned that recently, something simple for someone to comment, instead of comment if you have any questions, right?
That's so open-ended.
Yes.
And people really want to be told what to do at the end of the day.
Yes.
They want all of the guesswork taken out of it.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Honey, what do you want for dinner? Just pick, please, babe. I eat anything. Where do you want to go? Anywhere, right? Please, I make too many decisions throughout the day.
That's right.
Please make as many decisions. That's why I love you. You make all these decisions for me in our mastermind. I'm just like, oh my God, it's like a vacation. Like
that's right. And that's what, when you're working with leads and prospects and clients, they are looking for a trusted advisor. And how do you really step into authority? you really guide them through the process. You think about your best closers, your best salespeople. They're going to guide the prospect through that entire sales call. They're not going to leave like questions unanswered or unfilled space that isn't meaningful and intentional. And it's the same thing with social media. You really can't just say like, this is who I am. You got to take the next step and tell them this is the next step for getting in touch with me if you're ready to learn more about this.
Absolutely. I'm learning a ton of this. I hope everyone else is. I mean, just imagine going into the doctor's office and the doctor's just like, hey, would you like me to take your temperature?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm like, I don't know. You're the doctor.
You need an x-ray, your arm, x-ray, no x-ray.
That's
you know?
right.
So I love it because you walk in the doctor's office, they can tell you do anything.
That's right.
You
You're
know,
going to do
take off
it.
your clothes. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't even think twice because they have that authority and they don't stop before they ask. They just ask what to do. So that's great. That's been a lot of really good information. And then I'm thinking about like Facebook Lives, like, again, I look at social media like it's a TV, like it's a TV commercial. Like you have an audience there, and like if I have an audience on Facebook, why am I not jumping on and doing a Facebook Live every day?
That's right.
Like it doesn't even make sense not to do it. It's like, hey, David, here you could run some free TV commercials on CNN. They're absolutely free. And I'm just like, nah, I just don't feel like doing any TV commercials.
That's
right?
absolutely
It
right.
makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, especially if you're building your audience with intent on any social media platform, but on social media specifically, on Facebook specifically, you know who you're sending that friend request to. And so when you're sending out friend requests to people that are part of that ideal demographic, that target audience that you're looking to connect with on social, then that content is going to be shown to them, So it's probably even more valuable than even running a commercial on TV because you get to choose exactly who gets to see that content.
Absolutely. Awesome. So Facebook Live, what would I do a Facebook Live on?
There's so many things, but a great place to start is, even looking at if your products that you specialize in, pulling out some key features of those and explaining what that means. And I like to give the challenge of try not to use like very insurance-y terms or not even to say the word insurance or say things like final expense or mortgage protection. A prospect doesn't understand what those things are. So the better that you can explain it, like you would be explaining it to a fifth grader, for example, the more your content is really going to resonate. And even more so if you can tie that into a problem that it's solving, because they don't care about any of the jargon or any of the terminology. They just care how it is a benefit to them and how it solves a pain point that they're experiencing. I really like to do things that are like the number one mistake to avoid, the top 3 things that you should know, things like that, because that does sort of pique curiosity and pique interest. Frequently asked questions, objections that you hear on sales calls. So if it's this isn't the right time, I don't have the right money, or I don't have enough money, or I need to talk to this person or that person, or whatever the objections are that you hear on your sales calls the most, that's actually great content to talk about and share with your audience. Testimonials, so stories about how you're helping clients, what their situation was. You don't have to share their name or anything like that, but just people that you're helping every single day. Sharing that on social media as well. If you're building a team, asking team members to come on, do Facebook Lives with you. You can do 2 people Facebook Lives. You can do them interview style, just like we're doing right here. Really, it's endless possibilities. And it's also okay to totally like recycle content, especially if you find that your audience really likes specific topics or types of content. Then just double down and do even more of that type of content.
Absolutely. I love it. I mean, you gave so many great bullets, know where to start, got the time, 12 minutes a day. Is there anything else that you want to share to a new agent getting started?
I would say set a goal. I would say commit yourself. If you really want to build social media into your practices of using social media as a lead generation tool. Approach it as something that is going to create more revenue, more sales in your business. Put the time on the calendar, like it's 12 minutes a day. It's just a 12-minute time block on your calendar, and commit yourself to doing it every single day. That's going to be activity that you're going to show up every day for 30 days. And for people that are just getting started, I really encourage them to approach it as a challenge and to share that challenge with their audience, get the support of your audience, ask your audience to like, share, comment, and that you're participating in it. And people really rally around people that are looking to accomplish something and will root for you and cheer you on.
Elle, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that content. What's the best way for somebody to find you if they wanted some coaching with you? Or I heard you're also hiring and recruiting insurance agents nationally now.
That's right. We are partnered with the TPG Group. Probably best way to get a hold of me is through Facebook. I am Elle Denning on Facebook, and then the Marketing for Insurance Agents Facebook group. As of the time that we're sitting down doing this interview, we've got 28,000 insurance agents all over the country, but it's an awesome way to get plugged in with our community, connect with me and David, as well as our team.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, I'm part of that Facebook group. That's why we're sitting here today.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
definitely
right.
an amazing Facebook group to network, meet people, but more importantly, learn how to sell insurance, learn how to create your own leads, and connect with people really winning. So thank you, Elle.
Thank you.
It's been another great episode of Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things with David Price.